Welcome to the Not Other podcast. I am Chad. I am still here. I am still hosting, and I am ready for you to hear the conclusion, part 3 of my conversation with Jim. It's, I don't know, man. It's great. What can I say? If anything, I guess if anything out of this, I had a blast. I'm going to love these. And I'm so happy and proud that we were able to get together and do this. Sit back. Enjoy. He sticks the landing, folks. It's great.
No,
Your secret, 30 years sobriety.
I hate to say it, a lot of good luck. I mean, Susan, my wife at the time, was pregnant with Alana, and she's like, gave me a number and a name, said, call this guy or we're done. And so I did. That was April of 93. So I started seeing a fellow, and his name was McGovern. He was good, Mark McGovern. He was a specialist, psychologist in addiction recovery. And I remember, why are you here? I'm like, drinking. He's like, well, let's talk about that so you can get a handle on it. Not, you're an addict from what so that kind of precursor preview, he knew a lot about AA. He wasn't an addict himself, but that, like, it's suggestions, we're not going to tell you what to do, that more invitational approach.
Yeah.
I think that was big. Susan, I was, my job was on the bubble. I'd had health issues. I'd turned yellow.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
had quit like 2 years before and then started again.
Oh, and that's never good.
I had not blacked out, but I would wake up and I'd have these black marks on my knee. And we had these metal strips on the basement steps where I drank. So it's clearly like hitting my shins. Sometimes it's like, well, that's humiliating. That's ridiculous. A man of my caliber. It's something like that, right? You're like, because you can't conceive of yourself.
Yeah.
So my father came over on July 12th, and the VCR turned over the numbers. People know what that is. 6 p.m. Susan was out of town. I'm wasted already. And he just sits on the couch, which I still have, and says, with my stepmom, what's going on? And he'd been sober 13 years by this point.
Okay.
And I didn't know a lot about his recovery.
Yeah.
Needless to say. And I said, I want to quit drinking. He says, we stayed, told off for 24 hours. It took me my first meeting. So as soon as I was in there, I was like, man, this is a golden opportunity. I can talk about Alien with these people. I mean, not really, but almost like that. I mean, I am kind of like that, right? No, when I give my comment. So that connection piece that we were talking about before, it can just be shared interests or work that's cool, whatever it was or could have been that didn't happen. Something similar could now happen. It wouldn't necessarily be about Alien, but it could be something else equally cool or cooler. And that's my personality. Some people just like the comfort of knowing I've got a chance to freaking live, or I could be a mother, or I can be a father, or I can keep my job, and that's fine, or I can stay out of jail. But for me, I recognized that something awesome could happen. I mean, my father, when Alana was born, he at the hospital. So this is a few months later in October 1st. She's a Libra.
Wait, her birthday's October 1?
She's 2nd. He's October 1.
Yeah.
I remember him holding her. He said, it's the beginning of a great or wonderful adventure. And I didn't have that expression at the time I went to her first meeting, but that's the way it is. It's an awesome adventure. Now I'm freaking Buck Rogers, not in the 21st century. I'm in this century in AA. And it's cool. But it's escaping from, I mean, in a sense, you do escape from addiction. Let's face it. Right?
Yeah, right. You do.
I mean, you're now, it's, and it is an unknown. You don't know what the hell's going to happen.
No. That's the giving up of the control part of it. That's like fucking hard for people.
I suppose it's control. Yeah, I mean, I got issues around control. It
In what way? Meaning like you want to control or just
well, I don't, I'm risk averse
oh okay.
usually.
Okay.
I used to be. Actually, when I was drinking, I was extremely conservative financially and, relationship wise. When I was sober, I lost a shitload of money and I went out a lot of different people. So when you were talking about suppression earlier, the suppression of the impact of events on you emotionally and those being suppressed is the way I heard it.
Yeah.
For me, it was like all the kind of these things in my personality had been suppressed for good or ill, right?
Right.
Everything that is suppressed is positive, frankly.
True.
So, but you never have a chance to sort that out.
Yeah.
And because you're too busy drinking or using. So what you're going to sort out, well, what are the potentialities that are good and what are the ones that aren't? So that long put off project comes out, instead of in your 20s when people are like, well, he's in his 20s. He's supposed to be a screw up. Right. Now you're combining your 20s with a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
I know you're laughing. You're like,
maybe I am.
Not me. But yeah, Jim, we're talking about your story.
This is your story, man. We're not here to talk about me.
So, and I was 35. So,
so what was life like as a sober dude? I mean, what?
It's fantastic. I mean, I met a great bunch of people who were willing to at least tolerate talking about stuff and actually some people were kind of like this, people
Absolutely.
in AA are, and my buddy Max would say, you're going to find out that, you're going to have a lot more energy to do stuff.
Yes.
Because before you're drinking and you're sort of holding down a job,
and you're hungover all the time
and you're doing all those things with the weight, right? Yeah. All the ballast. And now it's jettisoned. And, if you're not careful, that friggin' balloon's going to fly away. You're going to be like, Kansas, So I met all these, group of people that I'm super, like, we're going to meetings, we're hanging out after meetings, we're doing other stuff. And, you go out, you start doing vacations, parties. Susan and I had a lot of parties. And we would invite a lot of AA people. Say, I don't know what that is.
That's my phone.
And I did that later, to some people. When I had my 60th birthday party, I had AA's, Alan Onyx, and Eleanor's friends. And they're like, what? Yeah,
that was a fun night.
My favorite was a birthday dinner, and I had AA, L&M people, and some of my high school friends who still drank.
Yeah.
Because Alan and I don't drink a lot either. And it came time for the check, and suddenly the check's paid. And people are like, who paid it? Well, number one, the alcoholics aren't going to pay for the check and not brag about it.
Yeah.
Two, the L&Rs are going to fight over the check. So it had to be one of my drinking, and sure enough, it was. So and Alan on him and Alan on it. So Susan, we did get divorced, but she really was amazing. I mean, I could have done with that, but in the recovery, she was so thrilled, totally supported it.
Yeah.
Because I folded in to AA people. I didn't go to a meeting. It was a mystery because I didn't want that.
Right.
I was like, these people are cool. This is so cool. And I would talk about things going on in AA with her, and she would listen politely, and I don't think with feigned interest, but
yeah. Right.
So I didn't want now to have another bifurcated experience, which is what active addiction was.
That's right. And I find that, I guess, is it the anonymity part of AA, for example, that some people aren't really open about it. And it's almost as if they're still clinging to that isolation part of it, some capacity. I don't know that I could be just talking out of my ass, but
there's definitely places, the anonymity or the approach.
Yeah.
But at a private, I guess I'll call it, even at a personal level, at that point, I didn't we would practice where we know each other from, the kids know as soon as you hesitate, they know you knew someone from AA.
Yeah.
Now, people who aren't in it, there is a gulf. I mean, people are aware.
Yes.
But this is the 90s, so there's still a fairly big gulf. And the personality types are different. Unless they're incipient, recovering people.
What do you mean by that?
People are like, oh, hey, what's that about again? Do you stop drinking completely or just on the weekends?
I mean, I'm done.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But people,
but you can still smoke weed, though, right?
Right. Or they're like kind of interested because maybe, because I got this friend. Let me ask you about my friend.
Yeah.
So there's a little of that, but otherwise, people, it's like you're from a different religion. You could be a Muslim to these Christians.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's okay. I actually think that's kind of interesting.
I do too. I've had a lot of really good conversations with people about that. Not necessarily not about AA in particular, but just addiction and recovery and what it's like. I mean, they're like, you can't drink. It's like, well, no, I mean, I can drink and I can drink really well, but I shouldn't drink because when I do, this is what happens. This is where
I don't remember a logical process like that.
Really?
Well, I know that I knew I had a problem.
Well, I did too.
And every time I can remember, especially towards the end, like, God, I'm pouring another drink.
Yeah.
So there was a, like the meta consciousness, watching yourself pour a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe that's a protective mechanism. It's the alien in me, Jim. Jim, it's the alien in you. I don't remember thinking like that, the sensation, or the old simpler form, the devil made me do it.
Yeah.
And I can, even though I can visualize myself in those last days, it sucks because at the time, in the moment, I cannot visualize a way out of it. Even though I know my dad's in recovery, and I can't go from where I'm standing over this drink, which would be a Manhattan with a cherry and sweet vermouth.
Good man.
And then some Guinness or something to go with it, or what's the Australian drink? So
Foster's.
Yeah. And in that moment, I just can't envision anything else.
Right.
It could be another world. It is another. It's just not. So when that moment of crossing over is, it's not, as it builds catapult to the fourth dimension. I don't remember a physical or psychic sensation like that, and from an empirical standpoint, like, what am I doing differently? It is that.
Yeah. Because
I'm not going to pour another drink.
You don't have to.
So from the moment I said that and then went to that first meeting. Now, at some parties, did I pick up the wrong cup a couple times? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. That fucking scared the shit out of me the first time I did that.
Same here.
I ordered an Arnold Palmer at a restaurant, and they brought me a Long Island. And I just took a big...
You look like a Long Island guy.
Oh, yeah, man. I got down and dirty. I used to get this one that would come like in a fucking fish bowl. Have like 3 of those before breakfast.
And a straw for my friend.
And a straw for my friend.
I'll just use this ladle.
Just like back in the old West, sipping water from a ladle. It was Long Island. Yeah, I have done that too. I've been better about that. That happened to me actually not long ago. Because the big thing now is sparkling water with alcohol in it.
Oh.
Hard water, whatever. Huh. But yeah, so you get like Topo Chico, which is really like in vogue now, is like, it's been around forever, but everybody's drinking it. But now they have a spiked one, whatever. So I was at a party and I thought I grabbed like a regular Topo Chico and took a huge swig off it and was like, holy shit, this is like turpentine. It tasted horrible. I'm like, how are people able to consume this? But yeah, I just laughed at it at that point. I was like, okay, somebody take this. I don't need it.
Yeah. I've never been interested in drinking again.
Yeah, me either.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, zero.
And I haven't had a drinking dream in a long time. And I feel like the last time I had one, I kind of had a good chuckle over it, you know?
Those come back occasionally.
Do they?
I suppose they're a form of anxiety dream, maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
But they're disturbing.
They can be, man.
It's like talking about the alien.
The chest burster.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you wake up and for a moment you think you really did.
Yeah, you really did it. You feel that
it's
guilt, like, oh my God, I fucking went out and I did that.
It is as scarier than when that alien popped out of that poor guy's chest.
So then when you have one of those, right? We have those moments where we kind of old feelings, fear, scared. You have a drinking dream, you wake up kind of guilty and scared. What do you do with it? Do you just sort of like let it pass? Do you talk about it?
Well, I might, or put it away and I'll bring it up again and recognize that,
the work
do I think it's in a latent again or incipient or latent desire to drink? I mean, I don't know about that, but I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful on one, because frankly, if I was going to go back to the days of the omens and whatnot, it's instead of a comet, it's a reminder. It's a reminder, but it didn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm grateful that it was only a dream. And maybe I like that because, and this is, if we ever get together again, I can do this when I got hypnotized.
Oh my God. Yes. So, we'll have to have a part 2 then in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking gold.
Don't worry. Nothing happened, mother. That you couldn't be proud of. So, I know that's a great question, but it's like other people's relapse stories. That's really what it is. Yeah. So it's a imaginary relapse story. And so it's a feeling, a similar feeling. Well, with relapse stories, because my father relapsed, I like to say that's why relapses pissed me off, or they did for a long time. But now people come in and tell a relapse story that's frankly
scary straight.
Yeah. I know that's a program of attraction, but fear is,
Well, I mean, I think fear drives us in just about everything we do, whether we know it or not. I think
back to the evolution.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fear, drive you to drink.
I suppose you have an experience, and this is now, I don't know, it's a platitude. What are you going to do with it? So now it's like, okay, am I grateful I'm an alcoholic? Or what it says is no matter how low we have fallen, our experience can benefit others. I mean, that's not just true in addiction. That's true in so many fields, right?
And I have taken that aspect from my sobriety, and I've applied it in other parts of my life though too, and have found that even by me sharing about my lower experiences in life that drinking wasn't involved in, I have found that has actually like helped other people. And certainly it helps me though too, to talk about that and to share that with other people. That kind of keeps me going. And, again, having the relationships, having those people that you can like surround yourself with and talk with. And what is it? 150 is the magic number. You can,
it varies with but what is interesting about it is it's hypothesized that the optimal group size varies with the circumstances. So I would expect that, maybe as stress increases, like especially with soldiers, the group size shrinks because you need perhaps more intimacy to deal with a greater level of stress. And I think maybe you can see it with committees. What do they say about committees? There's one person whatever it is, like committees can be too big.
Right.
So the group size probably varies with the stress, the task, whatever the circumstances are. And people have a sense of that, because you'll start out in a big group and then let's break into working groups and work. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to work in our working groups. Okay. Because in a big group, you could do certain things, but it's, I think about it like from work or in my work, why are meetings a big deal? Like James and I were talking again about the Vikings. And they had a thing that was called the all thing when they came together to meet.
Yeah.
Or the word parliament, which is from parler, French, to speak. You come together to speak. Why is a meeting a big deal? People, number one, people don't want to do it again. But there's certain things that can't happen until there's a meeting. And something happens at a meeting and that binds people. Okay. And so when you leave, there's a certain set of assumptions you walk away from, hopefully. Sometimes in my field, it'd be reduced to a contract. They even use the term, a meeting of the minds, right? Mm-hmm. Was there a meeting of the minds? Mm-hmm. Well, in a group, that's very important because you don't want to have to come back, because now we're all going to go forward from a certain place, a common place, hopefully, and accomplish something. And we're not going to do it in as big a group. And there's probably a variety of reasons for that. Hell, we might do it on our own. So a meeting is like that. We have a meeting. We go to a meeting and something happens there and it allows us to carry on and do more than just not drink or use, frankly. And that's, I suppose back to my theme about the deferred potential, which is so painful. That's, what I think are, the people, the stories, oh, I got this job, or I married this person, or we had this child, or I overcame, or like you were talking about, help these people with what I've been through. All of that would have been cut off or lost. So in that sense, alcoholism is weird, because if it was completely successful, like any disease, and exterminated the human race, it too would die out. So, it's only going to affect some people, probably. And I suppose that question of how much gratitude should I have for being an alcoholic, I was thinking about on the way here, apart from the limerick, that movie, The Paper Chase, about the first year at Harvard.
Yes.
John Houseman.
Yeah.
And he's saying, he teaches you'll come in here with minds full of mush and you'll leave thinking like lawyers. And so one of the hypothetical questions he asks, man goes to the doctor with a burned hand for a skin graft. And when he's done, the doctor's put a skin graft on with hair. What should the doctor pay for this? And the guy goes, the difference between a burned and scarred hand and a burned, scarred hand with hair on it. He can't answer it because it's a contract framework, but the real framework should be tort law, negligence. The doctor didn't break a contract, he did, but he's negligent, and it should be whatever the inconvenience, the pain and suffering. It's a much more open-ended question. The point is that he imposes a certain framework on him, and he tries to get him to answer within the framework, and that framework cannot answer that question. All right. So you hear that, no problem can be solved on the level at which it was created. AA is that additional framework, which has only become available since 35. Mm-hmm. It's a different framework. You cannot answer the question of how to quit. At least this is one framework. That framework, I could not go from pouring another drink to something else without thinking something different. At that point, it was only, well, I don't want to pour another drink. And in that sense, at that point, it was, I don't want to pour another drink. I don't think as I was pouring it, I ever thought, oh, I want to quit. It was always, I don't want to pour another drink. Why am I pouring another drink? But when my father came into my living room, it was a completely new framework. I want to quit. And it only occurs to me during the course of this amazing podcast, Chad, to think of it that way. I don't know how you do the magic you do. Oh my God. Wait, I got to catch my breath. Can I? But
stop it.
Yeah. But I'm serious. I've never thought about that, because I'm in that moment of pouring a drink. And I don't think I ever thought in terms of quitting. Now, on the way here, I was, for some reason, that Hausman thing with the framework, because it bugged me. Why can't he answer the question? Because he's saying, here's my framework. It's contract law. No, it's tort law. All right. So he never had the proper framework to answer the question. And so I never had the proper framework until I said, I want to quit. That was a beginning. Now it's a different framework. I couldn't do it. At least I couldn't. And I have a sister who did it in a more religious way, and did it another one. So that, I think there's an individualization that can, maybe certain frameworks are going to be better for certain people. So when I said I want to quit, something happened in that moment, and it might have been just, I don't want to openness, willingness. What, I don't know. Think about that. So I'm now in this new framework, and you know what? The thing about this framework, it allows me to pursue other frameworks. That's
amen.
Right?
Yeah, it does. Fucking A, man. You stuck the landing, Jim. That was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
So when are we going to record one?
Oh, shit. I forgot to hit record. And that concludes the conversation with Jim. That was part 3, framework. How about that? It really stuck with me. I hope you enjoyed these conversations. Well, it was one big one that I split up into episodes because I think it's a little easier to digest that way. And that way you can go back, re-listen to some of the nuggets that Jim sprinkled throughout all of the conversation. So much fun. I forgot how much I laughed during that. It was really, it was a great time. And shit, man, these conversations help me out a bunch. It's about the people, getting good people around you who understand what it feels like and to, help you along in living a sober life. Because, when you are challenged and you reach out to someone to help guide you through that challenge, you know what? You're like, oh my God, you're helping me so much right now. But even more important than you having the courage to make that contact with that person is you're helping them out so much too. It's a beautiful thing. It truly is. All right, everybody, be kind and loving to everyone, no matter how challenging. Spread kindness, spread love. Be kind and loving to yourself. Give yourself that big hug that you deserve. Do it. You deserve it. I will catch you guys on the next episode. All right. Take care.